Have you ever felt like you're losing your mind while talking to someone? Like your words are being twisted, and somehow you're always the one at fault, even when you have no idea why? If that sounds familiar, you might be dealing with more than just a difficult person. Now, you could be facing a narcissist or even a psychopath. Today, we aren't here to hand out medical diagnoses. We're here to learn how to survive. Think of this video as your personal shield and sword against master manipulators. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear roadmap to protect your sanity, your dignity, and perhaps even your career or relationships. I'm also going to reveal the number one reason why all your past attempts to reason with them were doomed to fail. So, settle in. We're about to break down the rules of a game where you will no longer be a pawn. Before we dive into the strategies, let's quickly define who these people actually are. It's important to understand that narcissism and psychopathy aren't just personality quirks, they are deep-seated patterns of behavior. Put simply, a narcissist is driven by a desperate need for admiration. Their entire world revolves around a fragile ego that they must protect at all costs. They crave validation like a vampire craves blood. A psychopath, however, lacks empathy and a conscience at a fundamental level. Their primary goals are power, control, and the thrill of the hunt. They don't see people as human beings. They see them as objects or tools to get what they want. Think of it this way. A narcissist is constantly performing on a stage for an invisible audience, while a psychopath is playing a high-stakes game of chess where everyone else is just a piece on the board. Understanding these motivations is the key to choosing the right tactics, which is exactly what we're going to discuss next. The first and most critical step is acknowledging exactly who you're dealing with. Stop making excuses for them. It's not just a difficult personality, a rough childhood, or just the way they are. We're talking about a toxic pattern of behavior that is systematically destroying your life. Think of it like trying to play chess with a pigeon. They'll just knock over the pieces, crap all over the board, and fly back to their flock claiming they won. Narcissists and psychopaths operate the same way, playing by a twisted set of rules that no healthy person could ever understand. Your job isn't to teach the pigeon how to play, it's to pack up the board and walk away. Accepting this reality isn't about being judgmental, it's about facing the facts so you can finally protect yourself. As long as you believe they can be fixed or understood, you will remain vulnerable. Realize once and for all, you aren't dealing with a partner who wants a dialogue. You're dealing with a manipulator. Let's take a closer look at the key differences between the two. A narcissist is desperately hooked on external validation. This is what's known as narcissistic supply. Your attention, your admiration, your fear, even your hatred, it all feeds them. Without it, they feel completely hollow inside. That's why their manipulations are specifically designed to trigger intense emotions and keep you locked in their orbit. A psychopath, on the other hand, is entirely self-contained. They couldn't care less what you think of them. Their goal isn't to be admired, it's total control and personal gain. They get a thrill out of power and seeing just how easily they can play people. Think of it this way. A narcissist is like an actor on stage who can't survive without the applause. A psychopath is the puppeteer behind the scenes, quietly pulling the strings and enjoying the pure mechanics of control. A narcissist's biggest fear is being exposed or humiliated. A psychopath fears almost nothing except losing their grip on the situation. Understanding this distinction is the first step to making sure you never get caught in their trap. Now, let's talk about the most important shift you need to make in your mindset. You have to accept one thing as an absolute truth. These people do not experience empathy the way you do. They can mimic it, sometimes brilliantly, but they don't actually feel your pain. They don't truly understand the suffering they cause. To be precise, a psychopath might recognize it, but simply doesn't care, while a narcissist is fundamentally incapable of focusing on anyone but themselves. Think of it like trying to explain the color red to someone who is colorblind. You can spend hours searching for the perfect metaphor, but they will never truly perceive it. In the same way, it is completely useless to appeal to a narcissist's or a psychopath's conscience, sympathy, or honesty. Stop waiting for them to understand. Stop waiting for an apology or a sign of remorse. It isn't going to happen. The moment you stop projecting your own feelings and values onto them, everything becomes much clearer. You'll finally realize that you aren't dealing with a person in the way you're used to. You're dealing with an entirely different operating system. Let's move on to specific techniques. Your primary weapon when you're forced to interact is the grey rock method. What does that actually mean? It means becoming the most boring, uninteresting, and predictable person imaginable. Think of a plain grey rock on the side of the road. It's unremarkable. No one wants to look at it, no one wants to kick it, and no one cares it's there. Your goal is to become that rock. Narcissists thrive on drama and emotion. Psychopaths hunt for a reaction to figure out how to manipulate you. The grey rock method starves them of both. You stop being a source of supply or an entertaining toy. Eventually, they simply lose interest and move on to a new target. This isn't about being rude or aggressive. In fact, it's the ultimate display of emotional self-control. You give short, one-word answers. You stop sharing personal information. You don't argue, and you show absolutely no emotion. To them, you become a complete blank slate. So, how do you actually practice the grey rock method in real life? Imagine a manipulator is trying to bait you into an argument or a guilt trip. They might say something like, "You ruined everything again. This is all your fault." Instead of getting angry or trying to defend yourself, keep your response completely neutral and flat. Just say, "I see," or "I hear you." If they start prying into your personal life or your feelings, give them nothing but vague, boring answers. Try things like, "I'm not sure yet," "Nothing new," or just, "I'm fine." Avoid eye contact and keep doing whatever you were doing, as if you're genuinely bored. Think of it like watching a documentary on insect migration. Sure, they're moving around and doing things, but it doesn't affect you emotionally. It's just there. Keep your voice monotone and your answers short. Yes. No. Okay. I'll think about it. It's going to be incredibly difficult because they will try even harder to provoke a reaction. No, if you stand your ground, the manipulator will eventually realize they're hitting a brick wall and they'll back off. The next critical step is setting rock-solid boundaries. Manipulators are constantly testing your limits to see how much they can get away with. They show up late, ask for inappropriate favors, break their promises, and invade your personal space. Your job is to build an invisible yet impenetrable fortress around yourself. Boundaries aren't walls meant to shut the world out. They're the rules that teach others how to treat you. You have to be crystal clear about what you will and won't accept. For example, I don't discuss my private life at work, or I don't answer the phone after 10 p.m., or I will not tolerate being yelled at. These rules must be simple, clear, and above all, non-negotiable. Think of yourself as a sovereign nation. You have your own territory and your own laws. Any violation is an act of aggression, and every act of aggression requires a firm response. Setting boundaries is only half the battle. The real challenge is defending them. This is where you must master the art of saying no, without fear, guilt, or the need for long explanations. You don't owe anyone a justification. Your no is a complete sentence. When a narcissist or a manipulator hears a refusal, they immediately go on the attack. They'll play the victim, call you selfish, or even resort to threats. Your job is to stand your ground. Use the broken record technique. Simply repeat your refusal calmly and firmly. I understand this is important to you, but no, I can't do that. When they ask why, your answer should be, because that's what I've decided. Do not engage in a debate. Do not make excuses. Every explanation you give is just a hook for them to continue their manipulation. Imagine you're a robot programmed with a single response. It's incredibly disarming. Remember, healthy people respect your no. Only manipulators try to break it. Now let's talk about a myth that almost every victim falls for. It's the idea that if you just provide enough facts, logic, and evidence, the manipulator will finally understand and admit they're wrong. But here's the truth. That is never going to happen. You will need to realize that you are living in two completely different realities. Yours is built on facts and objectivity. Theirs is built entirely on their own feelings and immediate needs. If the facts get in the way of their need to be right, too bad for the facts. They will deny them, twist them, or simply mock them. Think of it this way. It's like trying to convince someone inside a dream that their world isn't real. It's pointless. For a manipulator, an argument isn't a search for the truth. It's a battle for dominance. By presenting facts, you're just handing them fresh ammunition to use against you. Stop trying to prove your point. It's a trap. Save your energy. Today, let's talk about one of the most insidious forms of manipulation, gaslighting. The term comes from a classic film where a husband systematically drives his wife to the brink of insanity, making her doubt her own reality. Think of gaslighting as a mental fog. It sounds like this. That never happened. You're just imagining things. You're being way too sensitive. Or the classic, I never said that. The goal is simple, to dismantle your perception of the world until you believe that you're the problem, not the person manipulating you. It's a slow-acting poison that quietly erodes your self-confidence. So, how do you fight back? First, trust your gut. If something feels off, it usually is. Don't let anyone talk you out of your own intuition. Second, keep a record. Write down dates, conversations, and specific promises. Having a reality check in writing makes it much harder for someone to twist the truth later on. And third, talk to someone you trust, a close friend or a therapist. Often an outside perspective is exactly what you need to finally clear the fog. Another dangerous trap to watch out for is known as love bombing. It's a classic tactic used by narcissists right at the start of a relationship. During this phase, they'll shower you with constant attention, endless compliments, gifts, and sudden declarations of love. It makes you feel like you've finally found your soulmate, the perfect partner you've always dreamed of. You feel like the most special person in the world. But make no mistake, this isn't love. It's a calculated strategy. The goal is to hook you quickly, creating a deep emotional bond and a sense of dependency. Think of it as anesthesia before a painful surgery. Once the narcissist knows you're fully committed, the bombing stops, and the phase of devaluation and control begins. If everything feels too good to be true at the start, it probably is. Be cautious of anyone who tries to rush things or pushes too quickly into your personal life. Now let's talk about a tactic known as triangulation. It's the ultimate divide and conquer move. Essentially, a manipulator pulls a third person into your relationship to spark competition, stir up jealousy, and fuel your insecurity. That third person could be anyone, an ex, a co-worker, a friend, or even your own child. For example, a narcissist might constantly rave about how amazing their ex was at something, just to make you feel like you're not measuring up. Or they might confide a secret to one of your friends, specifically to create tension and drive a wedge between you. The goal is simple. They want you fighting for their attention and approval while they slowly isolate you from your support system. Picture a puppet master pulling the strings of two marionettes, forcing them to clash for his own control. If you notice you're being constantly compared to others or turned against those close to you, recognize it for what it is. That's triangulation. Don't take the bait. The only way to win is to refuse to play the game. Ever wonder why you can never win an argument with a narcissist or a psychopath? The answer is simple. Your goals are completely different. Your goal is to be heard, to find a compromise, or to reach the truth. Their goal is to win, at any cost. To them, an argument isn't a conversation, it's a war. And in their world, anything goes. They'll use personal attacks, twist your words, bring up your past mistakes, or accuse you of things you never did. They might scream, cry, or play the victim, whatever it takes to throw you off balance and make you back down. Think of it like this. You've stepped into the ring for a fair boxing match, but your opponent has brought a knife. You'll never win by the rules when the other person is busy breaking them. The only way to truly win is to refuse to play the game. The moment you feel a conversation turning into a confrontation, shut it down. Simply say, "I need some time to think," or "We'll talk about this later," and then walk away. In a world where your words are constantly twisted and your reality is denied, paper becomes your greatest ally. Document everything, absolutely everything. Save every email, every text message, and every screenshot. If a conversation happens in person, immediately jot down the date, the time, and exactly what was said in a journal or a note on your phone. This isn't paranoia, it's your insurance policy. First, it keeps you grounded. It stops the gaslighting from making you question your own sanity. When you look back at your records, the pattern of manipulation becomes impossible to ignore. Second, this documentation is your leverage. Whether it's a divorce, a custody battle, or a dispute at work, these records are your proof. Think of it as building a dossier. Every entry and every screenshot is a piece of evidence in your defense. It might feel exhausting, but trust me, one day this trail of paper could be the only thing that saves your reputation, your finances, and your peace of mind. Sometimes direct contact with a manipulator is so toxic that you have to minimize or even eliminate it, even if you can't walk away completely. This is where intermediaries come in. If you're going through a divorce, all communication should go strictly through your lawyers. Stop answering personal calls or texts. If you have children together, use co-parenting apps where every message is logged and cannot be deleted. At work, if you're dealing with a narcissistic boss, keep everything in writing. Use email and always CC your colleagues or HR. An intermediary acts as a buffer. They neutralize emotional attacks and keep the interaction formal and professional. Think of it like handling a hazardous chemical. You wouldn't touch it with your bare hands, would you? You'd wear a hazmat suit and use specialized tools. Your lawyer, a trusted friend, or even an email thread. These are your tools for protection. Now let's talk about the most radical solution, which is often the only way forward. It's called the no contact rule. This means cutting off all communication entirely. Block their number, their social media, and their email. Avoid the places where you might run into them, and tell your mutual friends not to relay any messages or updates about them. Why is this so critical? Because any connection, no matter how small, is an open door for a manipulator. They will use it to pull you back into their game. Think of it like trying to quit smoking but keeping one cigarette just in case. You will relapse. Going no contact is like an amputation, removing a toxic part of your life to save the rest of your body. It's painful and it's terrifying, but it is the only way to truly heal and reclaim your life. But what if a clean break just isn't an option? Maybe you share children, work in the same department, or it's a close relative. In these cases, you apply the limited contact strategy. Think of it as the grey rock method taken to the absolute extreme and applied systematically. Your interactions must be reduced to the bare minimum, focusing strictly on the essentials: kids, work, or specific logistics. No personal talk, no emotion. Whenever possible, keep everything in writing so there is always a record. If a verbal conversation is unavoidable, make sure witnesses are present. Treat it like a business negotiation with a hostile corporation. Be clear, stay on point, and skip the small talk. You must be polite, but cold and detached. Your goal isn't to mend the relationship, it's to minimize the damage of having to interact at all. The key to winning this psychological game is mastering your own emotions. Your reaction is their fuel. Your tears, your anger, your need to explain yourself. It's all a source of satisfaction for them. It's proof that their manipulation is working. Think of them like internet trolls. They thrive on your attention. The moment you stop feeding them, they lose interest. You have to maintain a perfect poker face, even if there's a storm raging inside you. Imagine you're looking at a toddler having a meltdown in the middle of a store. You wouldn't start an argument with a 3-year-old, would you? You'd just wait calmly for the tantrum to end. Learn to be an observer of your own mind. Acknowledge your emotions, but don't let them drive your actions. Take a deep breath, count to 10, walk out of the room if you have to. Do whatever it takes to deny them the one thing they crave most, your emotional response. Long-term exposure to a narcissist or a psychopath takes a devastating toll on your mind. You begin to doubt your own reality, your self-esteem erodes, and you're left battling constant anxiety and depression. This is why protecting your mental health has to be your #1 priority. You need to find your support system. This could be a therapist who specializes in recovery from toxic relationships. It could be a support group, online or in person, where you can connect with people who have walked the same path. Or it could be a few close, trusted friends who truly believe you and won't judge you. It is vital to have a safe space where you can speak your truth without the fear of being called crazy. Imagine finally surfacing for air after being underwater for far too long. You need that breath of fresh air. Your support system is your oxygen. Please, don't try to carry this burden alone. If you've decided to leave someone like this, you need a solid exit strategy. Don't act on impulse. Narcissists and psychopaths do not handle rejection well. They can become vindictive or even dangerous. You need to prepare in advance. Quietly gather your essential documents, cash, and valuables, and move them to a secure location. If you're living together, secure a new place to stay first. Confide in a few people you truly trust. Plan exactly how you'll deliver the news. Your best bet is to do it in writing or from a safe distance, once you are already physically out of reach. Don't fall for the one last talk plea. It's a trap. Think of this as a tactical operation. Every detail must be accounted for. Your safety is the absolute priority. The moment you are out, go no contact immediately. Last but not least, we come to the final stage, recovery. Moving on from a toxic relationship is a lot like healing after a serious illness or a major accident. You have to relearn how to trust, not only others, but yourself. You need to rebuild your boundaries and rediscover who you truly are, away from the constant pressure and criticism. This is a long journey, and there will be setbacks. That's okay. Be kind to yourself. Give yourself permission to grieve for the time you've lost and the hopes that didn't come true. Focus on what brings you genuine joy. Reconnect with old hobbies and reach out to friends you might have lost touch with. Think of it as rebuilding a house that was once destroyed. Brick by brick, you are reconstructing your self-esteem, your confidence, and your entire life. And one day, you'll realize the storm has finally passed. You'll find yourself standing there stronger, wiser, and freer than ever before. So, we've just covered 20 key strategies, from recognition and the grey rock method to total no contact and recovery. But here is the most important takeaway, and it might come as a shock. The single biggest mistake you can make is holding on to the hope that a narcissist or a psychopath will change. They won't. And it's not because they don't want to, it's because their disorder is woven into their very identity. It's their internal operating system. Your hope is their greatest weapon. It's the hook that keeps you trapped for years. Accepting this is the ultimate turning point. You stop trying to fix something that isn't broken in the traditional sense, but simply wired differently. Instead, you start fixing the only thing you actually have power over, your own life. You can't change them, but you can change your response and your boundaries. That is where your true power lies. Thank you for watching until the end. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our future episodes. Now, I want to hear from you. What is the most subtle or calculated manipulation you've ever experienced? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to finally see the truth.